I was the forgotten daughter of a fallen alpha, exiled, powerless, and alone. Then they forced me to marry him. Talon, the cold billionaire heir to the throne that should have been mine. Now I'm caught in a bond one didn't choose, a war I didn't start, and a love I never expected. But if I don't fight back, I'll lose more than my freedom, I'll lose myself. Chapter 1. The crowd was too quiet. Too still. Every eye was on me and him. Cassian Thorne stood in the center of the ceremony hall like a war god, all 6 foot something of barely restrained violence wrapped in a tailored black suit. His hands were clenched at his sides. His jaw was tight. His golden eyes burned with something I couldn't read. But it wasn't love. It wasn't recognition. And worst of all, it wasn't the mate bond hitting him like it had just shattered me. The moon had chosen him for me. I felt it the second our eyes met, like lightning in my blood, like the world had finally snapped into place. But he didn't move. Didn't blink. Didn't claim me. Instead he said no. Just like that, one word. Cold, final, and brutal. Gasps rippled across the pack hall. I couldn't breathe. What do you mean, no? I asked, my voice breaking as I took a step forward. Cassian's lips curled into something that wasn't quite a sneer but close. I reject you, Selene Nightborn, he said. Each syllable was like a blade across my skin. You can't, I whispered. You can't feel nothing. I know you felt it. I know you. I don't want an Omega for a Luna, he said, cutting me off like I was an inconvenience. Especially not one with cursed blood. I froze. Whispers exploded around us like gunfire. Cursed blood. Omega. Rejection. My heartbeat sounded like thunder inside my skull. Please, I said, my voice barely more than a breath. You don't know what you're doing. I know exactly what I'm doing, he said. And I'm not interested in mating with a liability. I slapped him. Hard. The sound echoed in the silence like a gunshot. His beta, Talon, stepped forward instantly, but Cassian lifted a hand, stopping him. I expected him to rage. To growl. To snap. Instead, Cassian leaned in so close I could feel his breath against my cheek. You have no idea what I've sacrificed to keep this pack alive, he said. You being my mate. That's not fate, it's a test. One I'm not going to fail. I didn't move. Didn't cry. I just stared at him, memorizing the face of the man I thought would save me, before he turned and walked away. No one stopped him. No one said a word. And just like that, I was rejected by the Alpha in front of the entire Silverclaw pack. I don't remember leaving the hall. I just remember the cold. And Lyra's arms around me. And the way her voice shook when she whispered, I'm so sorry, Lena. I'm so sorry. I couldn't answer. Couldn't feel. I'd spent my entire life surviving. Running. Fighting. Hiding the truth of what I was. And for what? To be discarded like a mistake. To be rejected like I was nothing. But the worst part wasn't the pain. It was the bond. Still burning. Still alive. Still tied to a man who wanted nothing to do with me. Hours later, I stood alone beneath the blood moon, barefoot in the snow, letting the cold bite my skin. I pressed my hand to my chest, right over where the bond pulsed like a bruise beneath my ribs. I won't let this break me, I whispered. A shadow moved behind me. I didn't turn. I didn't need to. I already knew who it was. Selene, Talon said softly. I kept my eyes on the moon. Here to finish the job? No, he said. I'm here because the council just made a decision. I turned slowly. His face was unreadable. But his eyes said everything. They're invoking the ancient law, Talon said. You're to be married to Alpha Cassian within 3 days. I stared at him, not understanding. He rejected me, I said. Yes, he said. But you're still his fated mate. And rejecting a Lunaris-born Omega doesn't break the bond. My blood ran cold. Talon stepped closer. This wasn't his choice, he said. It was the Council's. For the good of the pack. I laughed. It was hollow. Ugly. Almost a sob. For the good of the pack, I said. Talon nodded once. You'll be his wife by the next full moon. I looked back at the sky. And this time, I let the tears fall. Chapter 2. 3 days. That's how long they gave me to prepare for a wedding I didn't want, to a man who couldn't stand the sight of me. I didn't sleep much. Not that anyone expected me to. The whole pack treated me like I was a bomb with a broken timer, dangerous, unstable, and just a matter of time. Even my Aunt Mira, the one who raised me after my mother died, didn't say much. Just gave me a bunch of old family jewelry and said, "You'll look beautiful." You always do. I didn't care about looking beautiful. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. But I didn't. I couldn't. Because if I ran now, they wouldn't just punish me, they'd punish Lyra too. And after everything my little sister had been through. I wasn't about to let that happen. So I showed up. In a white dress that wasn't mine. In a room full of wolves who'd all heard about the rejection. About the forced bond. About the cursed Omega girl, who was now being dragged into the Alpha's world like some kind of sacrifice. Cashin didn't look at me once. Not while I walked down the aisle. Not when the elder read the vows. Not even when he said, "I do." The only time his eyes met mine was when the ceremony was over, and we stood in the private hall behind the packhouse, just the two of us, and he finally turned to face me. His expression was hard. Controlled. Like he was holding back a storm with nothing but grit. "This changes nothing," he said. I didn't answer. He stepped closer. "You don't talk to me in public unless I speak to you first. You don't make decisions for this pack. You're here for one reason, because the council says you have to be." I met his eyes, and for the first time in days, I felt something close to anger instead of heartbreak. "I didn't ask for any of this," I said. His jaw tightened. Neither did I. We stared at each other for a second. Then he turned and started walking away. I should have let him go. But something snapped in me right then. Something sharp and tired and done being quiet. "You know what the council didn't tell you?" I said. He stopped. "They didn't tell you that rejecting a Lunaris Omega doesn't just hurt us," I said. "It hurts you, too." He didn't move. Didn't turn around. I took a step forward. "You've felt it, haven't you?" I said. "The headaches. The fire in your chest. The way your wolf doesn't listen to you like it used to." His fists clenched. "That's the bond breaking you down," I said. "And now you're stuck with it." "Stuck with me." He finally turned. "Watch yourself," he said, his voice low. I shrugged. Too late. And then I walked past him, straight down the hallway, heart pounding like a drum, barely holding in the tears. The packhouse was quiet that night. No party. No celebration. Just whispers behind closed doors and a Luna room that felt more like a cage than a bridal suite. I stood at the window for a long time, looking out over the Silverclaw territory. Wolves shifted in the woods below, patrolling like everything was normal. Like the Alpha hadn't just married a girl he hated. Like the mate bond wasn't tearing both of us apart from the inside. I pressed my forehead against the glass and closed my eyes. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. Mates were supposed to love each other. Protect each other. Not make threats in empty hallways. Not sleep in separate rooms. Not pretend the bond didn't exist. But pretending was the only thing Cashin Thorne was good at. There was a knock at the door. I wiped my eyes, forced my voice steady. Yeah. The door creaked open. Talon stepped in, looking tired and serious as always. You okay? He asked. I gave him a look. He sighed. Right. Stupid question. What do you want, Talon? I asked, turning back to the window. He hesitated. There's something you should know. About Cashin. I'm not really in the mood for bedtime stories about my new husband, I said. It's not a story, he said. It's a warning. That got my attention. I turned slowly. I'm listening. Talon stepped closer, lowering his voice. Cashin's been different lately. Since before the bond. Moody. Violent. He's hiding something, Selene. And whatever it is, it's getting worse. My chest tightened. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because you're stuck with him now, he said. And I think you deserve to know what kind of monster you married. I barely slept my first night in the Alpha's estate. The Luna's wing was nice enough, huge bed, floor-to-ceiling windows, a walk-in closet I'd never fill, and a bathroom bigger than the place I grew up in. But none of it mattered. Because I didn't feel safe. Not here. Not with him. Not even with the bond pulling at me every second like a live wire under my skin. I ended up curled on the edge of the bed, staring at the ceiling, listening for footsteps that never came. Cashin didn't visit me. Didn't try to talk. Didn't even check if I was still breathing. And yet, I couldn't stop thinking about him. His eyes. His voice. The way he looked at me like I was a threat, not a mate. Talon's words replayed in my head over and over. He's hiding something, Selene. And whatever it is, it's getting worse. I believed him. Because deep down, I could feel it too. Something wasn't right. The next morning, I walked into the packhouse kitchen, and every conversation died mid-sentence. People stared. Whispered. And pretended they weren't doing exactly that. I grabbed a coffee and sat down at the far end of the long table, trying to act normal. Like I belonged here. Lyra would have hated this. She would have said something loud and sarcastic and flipped a table just for fun. But she wasn't here. She wasn't allowed here. Only ranked wolves and mates were permitted inside the Alpha's estate. Which meant I was alone. Again. Talon appeared a few minutes later, carrying a folder, and looking like he hadn't slept either. You look like hell, I said. He sat down across from me. Thanks. So do you. What's in the folder? I asked. He hesitated. Then slid it across the table. Read it. I opened it. Files. Photos. Notes. Mostly surveillance shots. Cashin. Meeting with strangers on the edge of pack territory. Always late at night. Always alone. Some of the men wore rogue marks. One had a scar shaped like a crescent moon over his eye. Who are they? I asked. That's the problem, Talon said. We don't know. But they're not Silverclaw. Not allied. Not cleared. And Cashin's keeping it quiet. I felt a chill run through me. What the hell is he doing? I asked. No idea, he said. But it's bad, Selene. And it started right around the time you showed up. I looked at him, frowning. You think this has something to do with me? I think it has something to do with the bond, he said. And whatever he's planning, he doesn't want anyone else involved. Not even me. I leaned back, staring at the folder. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because if something happens to him, Talon said, the pack will fall on you. You'll be the Luna, and the council will expect answers. I swallowed hard. I don't know anything. Then figure it out, he said. Before someone else does. I was heading back to my room an hour later when someone grabbed me. Yanked me hard into an empty hallway. I hit the wall with a thud, ready to scream, but a hand clamped over my mouth. Sure, the girl hissed. I recognized her instantly. Alina. Beta daughter. Beautiful, spoiled, deadly. And Cashin's ex. Of course. She leaned in close, her face inches from mine, all fake sweetness and venom. I liked you better when you were nobody, she said. I shoved her back. Get off me. She didn't move. You think you're safe now that you're wearing his ring, she said. You're not. You're just another girl playing Luna. But you don't belong here. I glared at her. Neither do you. Alina smiled coldly. He won't protect you. Cashin doesn't protect things he doesn't care about. And once you're out of the way, he'll finally be free to choose me. I stepped forward, refusing to back down. Funny. I didn't realize delusion was a beta trait. Her eyes flared with rage. You think being mated means you matter, she said. You're cursed. Everyone knows it. And no one, will cry when you disappear. She shoved past me and stormed off down the hall. I stood there for a moment, heart racing. Then I turned, ready to go back to my room, only to freeze when I saw him. Cashin. Standing at the end of the hall. Watching everything. I had no idea how much he'd heard. And I didn't care. Great husband you are, I said. Your side piece just threatened to kill me. He didn't blink. Didn't move. Just stared. And then he said, "You're bleeding." I looked down. My palm. Scraped from the wall. He walked toward me slowly, grabbed my wrist, and examined the cut without a word. His fingers were warm. Careful. His scent hit me, smoke, pine, the wild, and for one stupid second, my knees almost gave out. He reached into his coat, and pulled out a small cloth, wrapped it gently around my hand. Then let go. Stay out of the East Wing, he said. Why? I asked. His eyes darkened. Because if you go poking around where you don't belong, I won't protect you. He walked away before I could ask what the hell that meant. And just like that, I realized two things. 1. Cashin Thorne was hiding more than a secret. And 2. I might be mated to him, but I was on my own. I didn't sleep again. I just sat there in the dark, staring at my bandaged hand, and replaying every word Cashin said. Stay out of the East Wing. Not be careful. Not I'll handle it. Just a warning. Like I was already halfway dead, and he couldn't be bothered to pretend. So yeah. I went to the East Wing. It was close to midnight when I slipped out of my room. The halls were quiet. Most of the pack slept early, especially after a full moon week. But I knew where the security gaps were, because I'd lived my entire life watching for exits, listening through walls, learning how not to be noticed. The East Wing was colder. Quieter. It looked like the rest of the pack house on the surface, same polished floors, same wood-paneled walls, but something about it felt off. The lights were dimmer. The air smelled faintly of ash and blood. And the silence wasn't normal silence. It was the kind that felt alive. Like the walls were holding their breath. I moved past a row of closed doors, pausing at each one, listening. Nothing. Nothing. Still nothing. Then I reached the last one. It was locked. Of course it was. But the doorknob was warm. Like someone had touched it just before me. I leaned in, pressed my ear to the wood, and heard something I didn't expect. Whispers. Low. Broken. Like chanting. Or pleading. I stepped back, heart pounding, unsure if I should run or knock. Then suddenly the door swung open. And Cashin was standing there. He looked different. Hair messy. Shirt halfway unbuttoned. Eyes bloodshot like he hadn't slept in days. And for the first time since I met him, he looked genuinely surprised to see me. "What the hell are you doing here?" he asked. "I could ask you the same thing," I said. He stepped into the hall, shutting the door behind him so fast I didn't catch a single glimpse inside. "Didn't I tell you to stay away from here?" he asked. "You said it," I said. "Didn't exactly explain why." He stared at me, jaw clenched. "Are you doing magic?" I asked quietly. His eyes flickered. I wasn't wrong. "Is that why you've been sick?" I asked. "The headaches? The anger? The bond pulling at you like it's tearing you in two?" He didn't answer. "You're messing with something forbidden," I said. "Aren't you?" He reached out, grabbed my arm, not rough but firm. "I'm trying to fix this," he said. "All of it." "You?" "Me." "The bond." I stared at him. "By doing what?" I asked. "Cursing yourself. Bargaining with rogues in the woods." "You don't understand," he said. "Then make me understand," I snapped. He let go of my arm, stepped back like I burned him. Then he said, "I didn't reject you because I hated you, Selene. I did it to save you." I froze. My heart stopped. "What?" "I didn't want you dragged into this," he said, voice lower now. "The curse. The bloodline. The deal my father made before he died. You're not just bonded to me, you're bonded to a legacy that wants you dead." I shook my head slowly. "What legacy?" "The Silverclaw Alpha's mate," he said. "She doesn't survive the bond." The hallway spun for a second. I grabbed the wall. "What are you talking about?" I whispered. "It's been happening for generations," he said. "Every Luna before you. Every mate chosen by the bond. They all died before their first full year. The bond pulls them in, breaks them from the inside out. Some lose their minds. Some just disappear." My stomach turned. "And you thought rejecting me would stop it?" I asked. "I didn't know what else to do," he said. "The council forced the bond anyway. They think mating magic is stronger than the curse. But it's not. It never is." I looked into his eyes and saw something I hadn't before. Fear. Real fear. Cashin Thorne wasn't just cold. He was desperate. Terrified. And something about that scared me more than anything else. "If you knew this, why not just tell me?" I asked, softer now. He ran a hand through his hair. "Because once I did, it would be real. And I'd have to admit that I can't protect you." Neither of us spoke for a long time after that. I should have walked away. Should have told him I didn't need his protection, that I could handle whatever this was. But instead, I whispered, "We'll figure it out." He looked at me like I'd just offered him the one thing he'd stopped believing in. Hope. Later that night, I lay awake again. This time not out of fear, but out of something worse. Realization. I wasn't just bonded to an alpha who hated me. I was tied to a dying legacy. A curse that had killed every Luna before me. And now it was my turn. I don't remember falling asleep. I just remember the cold. Not the kind that wakes you, but the kind that creeps in and makes everything quiet. Then I was standing in a forest I'd never seen before. Fog covered the ground like spilled milk. The trees were tall, white as bone, and completely silent. No wind. No birds. Just the sound of my breath. "Hello." I called out. Nothing. I turned in a circle, and then I saw her. A woman standing beneath the oldest tree. Long black hair. Eyes like glass. She wore silver robes that shimmered like starlight. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. She looked exactly like me. But older. Broken. Beautiful. And terrifying. You shouldn't be here, she said, her voice echoing through the trees. Who are you? I whispered. She stepped forward. The first Luna. My stomach dropped. No one remembers me, she said. Not truthfully. They burned our history. Buried our magic. And cursed every daughter who came after me. What curse? I asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she reached out and pressed 2 fingers to my forehead. The second she touched me, pain shot through my skull, visions flashing too fast to hold. A white wolf bleeding beneath a red moon. A child crying in a silver cradle. A black sigil burned into a book of spells. And Cassian, on his knees, screaming something I couldn't hear, covered in ash and blood. I gasped and stumbled back. Why are you showing me this? I asked. Because you are the last, she said. The last true Luna. The only one born with the mark. What mark? I asked. But the forest began to melt. And just like that, I woke up. My sheets were soaked in sweat. I sat up fast, my heart racing, my hands shaking. Something was wrong. My palm, the one Cassian bandaged, was glowing faintly red. Just for a second. Then it faded. I touched the spot. There was no pain. Just heat. Like the magic hadn't left me yet. Across the compound, Lyra moved through the trees, silent as shadow. She wasn't allowed past the ward line. Didn't care. She'd grown up with Selene. Knew every lie in her voice, every real smile, every fake one. And whatever was happening here, it wasn't normal. She reached the fence behind the estate and crouched. 2 guards. Talking. Distracted. She waited until they turned. Then she slipped through. Back in the Luna wing, I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at my hands. Something was different. Something had changed. The dream felt real. Too real. Like it wasn't just mine. I got up and walked to the mirror. Pulled my shirt aside. And saw it. A tiny red symbol, like a flame, burned faintly over my heart. It hadn't been there yesterday. It looked exactly like the sigil from the dream. Talon barged in 5 minutes later, not even knocking. Where's Cassian? He asked. I don't know, I said. Why? He dropped a photo on the bed. Cassian. Last night. In the woods. Standing over a body. Fresh kill. Unidentifiable. Who is it? I asked. That's what I'm trying to figure out, Talon said. But whoever it was. Cassian burned the body. And didn't report it. I stared at the image, a chill running down my spine. What are you not telling me? He asked. I didn't answer. Because I didn't know how to explain the dream. Or the woman with my face. Or the mark now glowing under my skin. So I did what I always did when I didn't know the answer. I lied. I didn't get a chance to hide the mark. Cassian walked in before I could change. He shut the door behind him like it was personal. Like the whole damn world could wait. Let me see it, he said. I froze. See what? The mark. I turned slowly, meeting his eyes. How do you even know I felt it, he said. Through the bond. His voice was low, steady, but I could tell he was barely holding it together. I hesitated, then pulled the collar of my shirt down. He stepped forward, eyes locked on the sigil. It was glowing faintly again, like it knew he was near. Where did you see it first? He asked. In a dream, I said. His jaw tensed. The first Luna, he asked. My breath caught. How did you know? I whispered. He didn't answer. Just looked at the mark like it was a curse come to life. Selene, he said, softer now. That symbol hasn't appeared in over a century. What does it mean? He stared at me for a long moment. Then said, it means we're running out of time. Meanwhile, Lyra didn't get far. She made it past the wards, through the trees, and into the west compound, before she ran into two enforcers. Name, one of them barked. She hesitated, then said, Lyra. Selene's sister. You're not cleared for this sector. I'm not here to cause trouble, she said quickly. She's not safe. Something's happening to her. I can feel it. The enforcers exchanged a look. Then one of them said, you'll need to come with us. Lyra didn't move. I'm not going back until I see her. Then you'll be locked up until the Alpha decides what to do. Back in the Luna wing, Cashin moved to the fireplace and grabbed a small box from the mantel. Inside was a shard of obsidian. Cracked down the middle. Wrapped in what looked like old leather. He handed it to me. What is this? I asked. A relic, he said. From the original Luna line. It's used in the bloodclaim ritual. Hasn't been performed in over 100 years. Why give it to me? Because if that mark is real, you're the only one who can complete it. I stared at him. Why now? Because something's coming, he said. And we need to know if you're strong enough to survive it. The ritual chamber was beneath the main hall, sealed with iron and spell-locked. Cashin led me down a narrow staircase, torchlight flickering over stone walls carved with wolves, moons, and names I didn't recognize. The air was cold. Heavy. Like it hadn't been disturbed in decades. At the center of the room was a shallow basin filled with ash. He handed me a small dagger. You'll cut your palm, he said. Let the blood fall into the ash. If the mark is real, it'll react. I hesitated. Then I sliced. The blood dripped slowly. 1 drop. 2. Nothing happened. Then on the 3rd. The ash ignited. Bright red flames spiraled upward, burning without heat, swirling into the air like smoke from another world. Cashin stepped back. I stared, heart racing. The flames twisted and formed the same sigil that burned on my chest. It hovered for a second. Then vanished. Cashin looked at me like he was seeing something sacred. Or dangerous. Or both. It's you, he whispered. You're the one. The one what? The Luna who survives, he said. The curse doesn't kill you, because you are the cursebreaker. I stared down at my blood in the basin. Something in me shifted. Not fear. Not anger. Power. And it was just beginning. Cashin didn't say much after the ritual. Just stood there, watching the last flickers of magic vanish into the cold air. Then he turned and walked out. No explanation. No goodbye. Nothing. I followed him up the stone steps in silence, unsure if I was supposed to feel chosen or cur. The doors shut behind us with a sound that felt permanent. Later, I found myself alone again in the Luna wing. I stood in front of the mirror, the soft moonlight casting silver shadows across the mark on my chest. It wasn't glowing now, but I felt it. Like something had opened up inside me, and it wasn't closing. That's when I heard it. A whisper. Right behind me. You're not ready. I spun around. No one there. I pressed a hand to my chest. Stop, I whispered. Who are you? You already know. The voice was in me. Or maybe around me. It was impossible to tell. You survived the ritual, she said. But survival isn't victory. Not yet. Why me? I whispered. Silence. Then, one single word. Bloodline. Cashin stood in the war room, eyes locked on the security feed showing Lyra in a holding cell. She wasn't struggling. She was waiting. That worried him more. She snuck in, Talon said, arms crossed. Got past 3 checkpoints. No human should be able to do that. Cashin said nothing. She's not just a sister, Talon added. She's watching. Gathering information. Maybe even reporting back. She's loyal to Selene, Cashin said quietly. Or to whoever sent her here. Cashin's jaw tightened. He hated this. Hated doubting Selene. Hated locking up her family. But worst of all, he hated the feeling crawling up his spine. The feeling that if he let himself fall for Selene completely, it would destroy him. I couldn't sleep that night. I kept seeing the fire. Feeling it in my blood. And the voice, it came back. Louder this time. She fears him. I sat up. Who? The one who made the deal. What deal? I asked. Your family's freedom, in exchange for the first Luna's life. That made no sense. My family was just. But then something clicked. My father had always said we came from noble roots. Always hushed it up when I asked more. He hated talking about the past. Like he was hiding it. Who was she? I asked.